right, so quite exciting. Starting the third movement of Beethoven's Symphony No. 6 in F major, Opus 68, the Pastorale Symphony. So if I were explaining this to you in such a way that you could play it, what would I tell you about it? And you might want to think about this for any piece of music that you learn. What are the things that are important about it? Look at the big picture first. Look at the big picture of the music, and then from there, you can figure out the smaller details. So what I have in mind over the next 8 weeks is to just show you how you would play this particular movement on the ukulele. You have to have played ukulele a little bit before, I think, before you can attempt this. If you're just an absolute beginner, this will probably be very difficult for you. But if you play for a little bit, this is actually, of the movements I've done so far, the Pastorale, this one's probably the easiest technically. And it's a lot of fun too, of course. So first, big picture stuff. So Beethoven's Symphony No. 6 in F major is a programmed symphony. What Beethoven did is he painted pictures of different scenes in nature with each of the movements. The first movement was subtitled Awakening of Joyful Feelings upon arriving in the country. The second movement, which I just finished last week, a slower movement called Seen by the Brook. And so Beethoven depicts flowing brooks and water and bird calls and things like that. It's all very beautiful. The third movement is a scherzo. And Beethoven is an innovator as far as the scherzo goes. So before, Beethoven's predecessors, Haydn and Mozart and those composers, would always write the third movement of the symphony as a minuet and trio. The minuet was a very popular stately dance in triple time with that kind of a rhythm. And so the third movement, there was just no question that the third movement of the symphony would be a minuet and trio. But Beethoven did not like that. So starting around 1800, he started putting scherzi into third movement of a symphony or a string quartet, or maybe the second movement or third movement of a piano sonata or whatever. But anyway, wherever there was traditionally a minuet and trio, he started putting scherzi in there. And a scherzo, it's an Italian word for joke. He's putting it in as a joke. And it has the same triple meter and the same form as a minuet and trio, but it's taken at a much faster tempo, whereas a minuet might be, you think of the Bach minuet in G. You think of that. It's boom, 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 boom. But a scherzo, it has triple meter, but you feel every beat in one. So that's what you need to know about the form of the third movement of Beethoven's Pastorale Symphony. It's a scherzo, and the subtitle for it, it's a painting, it's called A Merry Gathering of Village Folk. So it has a very rustic feel to it, a rustic quality. All the melodies are very straightforward. There's a lot of very straightforward phrasing going on in the piece, and very simple tonalities and everything. It's just it's a delightful movement for sure. But as far as the scherzo, I like to think of it the way a villager might dance. They might not dance that. It might be maybe faster than a minuet and trio, but maybe not so fast that you can't possibly dance to it. Anyway, you feel the beat in one for this. So that's what you need to know. Another thing that's obvious about this piece is that it's in the key of F. So we see a lot of familiar shapes in this piece on the ukulele. The first movement was in the key of F as well. Second movement, which is one of the reasons why it's the hardest one, I think, is in the key of B flat, which is very ukulele unfriendly. Okay, so the tempo is quite fast, as I mentioned. It's a scherzo, and that implies that the tempo is fast. Beethoven's own metronome marking is, and dotted half note is 108 beats a minute. So that means you'd feel the chorus. That's going to be too fast for me, as I've self-imposed that I'm playing this only with my thumb. So maybe someday I'll get there, but not today. I'm not going to play that fast with my thumb. If you're playing with your fingers, but I don't think it has the same sort of heavy kind of rustic feel as you play with your thumb. Anyway, I'm kind of digressing at that point. The tempo is quite fast, but it's felt in ones rather than in threes. Okay, so the main technical or musical points about the piece, and then I'll maybe walk you through a little bit of it. The first thing that you have to be concerned with on the first page of this movement, and by the way, if you're on my email list, I sent you a link to this page already. And if not, what the heck, get on my email list. I'll send you a page of this and you can follow along. So the first part of it, it says pianissimo, so the two P's above the very first pickup measure means we're going to play it softly. Okay, and then staccato is an articulation that we're going to play for the first 8 bars. And what staccato is, it's a way of playing where one note is detached from the next note. They're separated. So that's an example of what staccato playing would sound like. So we want to play all of these notes staccato. So how do we do that? What you need to do is you need to pluck the note, and then you need to mute it some way. There are basically two ways you can do it. One is you could bring your right hand down, your picking hand, onto the string like that. That would mute something out. Another way you could do it is you could take your left hand finger and just lift up, slightly releasing pressure without releasing the finger. That's what I'm doing mostly to achieve the staccato in this piece, except on open strings. I can't do it on open strings. So on open strings, I have to bring a right hand finger, in this case my thumb, around. So we think of this as being very detached. Measure 5, there's a grace note. I'm going to play the first fret on the second string and very rapidly roll to the first string, then back to the second string. I'll do that same roll in measure 6, and then in measure 7, I'm going to roll like this, and then just lift off the fingers by muting the strings. The phrase ends with a staccato chord. I added those chords and I changed around the octave of those. Those of you who are really familiar with Beethoven's Pastorale Symphony will notice I did change the octave there, just because the re-entrant uke does not go down to a low A down here, which would have needed to keep the thing in the same, keep the phrase in the same octave. So there's a bit of a jump, and that's why I added some harmony to just give that a little more weight right through there. So that was an editorial decision on my part. Okay, then the next section, the next 8 bars are legato, and legato would be the opposite of staccato. So when I play legato, I want all the notes to ring into each other. So there's no gap between them at all, so it's very smooth. So, something like that. And the way I'm going to accomplish that is with my left hand fingers, keep the fingers down on the strings for the full value of the notes and allow them to ring. You can't relax your fingers in that. And then over here with my thumb, I'm letting my thumb float above the strings like that, and it's not coming down to rest on the strings at all. So that's how I'm going to achieve the legato. Okay, now if you can get through the first 16 bars, then the next 16 bars are just a little repeat melodically and harmonically. So that would be the end of the first page.